Now I'm going to go through three things. The first one is going to talk about brands as promises. Then we're going to talk about product and personality. And then for those at the back who can't see, brands as ideas. Does anybody know this painting? Yes? Yes? You know it? Okay. This is a painting of Folies Bergère in Paris. It's a comedy club. It's been around since the 1800s. But they had a bottle of English beer. The red triangle was the very, very first registered trademark of any logo. And this is another example of a very early days. Does everybody know Marks and Spencer? Yeah. It started in a wonderful city in the north of England called Leeds, which is where I'm from. So, I'm not quite as famous as Marks and Spencer. The interesting thing here was, this guy didn't exist. This guy was a Polish immigrant, and he set up a shop, and he wanted people to buy products and trust him. Because what used to happen is you would go to your local shop and all the products would be loose. So what he did is he invented his business partner, and he said, we are now Marks and Spencer, and we'll put our sign above the door and we'll put our sign on our products, so wherever it's sold people will trust us. And that's fundamentally all the brand was then, a sign of trust. You can promise somebody that you can trust them. So there we go. The first thing is, a brand should be a promise, yeah? The second bit is we then moved on. So it was fine that Mr. Marks decided to create Marks and Spencer to promise them that we trusted them. But then the second bit was, how do we build some personality into it? So whenever we do these exercises and we say, think of a brand like Nike, you may think of the swoosh, but you've also got a load of other ideas floating around in your head. And that's usually all of the personality traits that you think of. But I said, when the guy said, what are you going to present on? I said, well, we'll talk about a new agenda, a new brand agenda. And that's where we're going next. So, as we've talked about, the world's evolving. We need to change, consumers are changing, and our brands should change as well. 10 years ago, some of these didn't exist, or we didn't even really know about them, yeah? But these are all setting a different agenda. So, and the thing with all of these is, it's important that brands engage here, the rational, but they also engage the emotional. And all of those, what they tend to have is, there's a kind of magical ingredient, there's a magical feel. And that usually happens here, yeah? There's a bit here, and a bit here, but there's a bit here in our stomach. But this is how branding has developed. We started off by talking about what we do, then we said about how we do it. So the question is, are we now talking about why? So we flip it, and we put the why in the middle. Because fundamentally, everything starts with why. Ask yourself, why are you in this room today? Why are you doing what you do? The why comes from a purpose. We have a purpose why we exist. We have a purpose why we do things. There's a reason some people become vegetarian, because they think meat is murder, yeah? There's a reason why some people become members of ISIS and terrorist groups. When we think about purpose, and when we think about it within the context of branding, all of our purpose needs to be based on truth. We can't make things up. And fundamentally, all of those, whether it's meat is murder, or hope, or ISIS, they're bold and they're memorable. We may not like them, but they are bold and memorable. And when we talk about boldness, and this is going to be important when we look at purpose, is, are we bold in our intention of what we're going to do? And are we bold in how we execute it? Actually, it's not what we think the brand is. Actually, what's important is what the consumer, what the outside world think the brand is. So, it's what these guys, everybody in the street, they're the people who are important. They're the ones who will hold those ideas in their head. And there's a famous quote from Jeff Bezos, who is the founder of Amazon. And he said, your brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. which is the same with all of us. When we walk out of the room and people go, I work on UEFA. I'm very fortunate. What do you call it over here?
UEFA.
UEFA, yeah. So I spend a lot of my time either talking about alcohol, shopping, laundry detergent, or football. And this is my favourite. Does anybody know which football team this could be? This is what they do. They complete more passes than any other team. Perfect. Yeah, Barcelona. We don't love Barcelona for what they do. We don't love them. We don't think their purpose is to pass the ball more. We love them because they play the game the right way. Yeah? They play football on the grass where it's supposed to be. My football team plays it in the air like that. So, actually, youngest average age, this is about 2 years ago now, but the youngest average age was Arsenal. Yeah. So they don't have footballers that they renew contracts after they're 30. They'll give them a 1-year extension and then they let them go. Because they think the future is all about youth. So they keep bringing young players through. When we think about, going on to sports and things, I work on Champions League, and their purpose is to put these guys on an ultimate stage. So, whenever we think Champions League, does everybody know the music? Thank you, I normally try and do it terribly. But it is that we're sat there, we'll be making a cup of tea in the kitchen and you hear the... Do it again. Thank you. So you hear that and you go, right, tea's ready, watch football, bang. Yeah, it's down. Because it's this, they put them on this ultimate stage. And that's the purpose of that competition, to put the best players on the ultimate stage. This is exactly the same car. This is a Mitsubishi Charisma. This is a Volvo S40. It's the same car. It's made at the same factory. It's got the same engine. It's got the same chassis. It's got the same body. They changed the wing mirrors and they changed the front. That's about it. Yeah. But the number of sales in the UK, 7,500, nearly 12,000. So 7,500 to 12,000. So 4,500 more were sold of this car. Not only were more sold, it was sold at $2,000 more. Yeah. It's a lot of money for basically changing the logo on the front of the car. Yeah? Because we believe that Volvo does something different. Volvo's purpose is to protect our family. There was a joke advertising campaign once which was, Volvos, they're boxy but good. Beautiful plain white t-shirt. $2.99. Fair price?
No, too expensive.
Too expensive, wow.
For Ukraine.
For Ukraine. Would you pay any more for it? If I get some red ink, I can make you pay more for this. So here's by the power of magic. Yeah? All of a sudden, you'll pay £20.99. Why? Because it unleashes the athlete inside us. We put on that Nike t-shirt and we are an athlete. We put this one on, I'm going to bed. I sleep in this without any pants on. You don't have to say. So I've just made it worth £20.99, not $2.99, by putting a piece of red ink. So do we believe this t-shirt is going to make us run faster than this t-shirt?
Yeah.
Yeah. Basically think about whether it's your brand or whatever, whether it's a brand, whether it's a product, whether it's a service that you're offering. Why does it exist? Why do you exist? How are you going to look differently, feel differently, talk differently, and behave different to the competition? And then how are you going to delight the fans of your brand, the staff that you have working for you, and also all the stakeholders that exist as well. I always tell this little story of my team, we went down to the 3rd tier, but they still used to have the 5th highest attendance in all of the leagues. So 35,000 used to go and watch really bad games. But that was the loyalty that they'd managed to create. So think about, when you're thinking about creating brands, when you're thinking about managing brands, could you create the same sort of fan loyalty that football clubs and things can actually do? And that's it. Thank you.